Would you be okay waiting until 2026 next year for the CUSMA renegotiation to land a new trade deal with the U.S.?
I have no problem, but I don't trust President Trump as far as I can throw him. He constantly changes his mind. You just don't know who you're dealing with. He signed that deal with Japan at $550 billion they're investing. Last time I checked, Japan they buy about $79 billion of products off the U.S. We buy about $349 billion of products. So Japan and the rest of the countries around the world have quite a bit to catch up to what we purchase off the U.S.
And here to put that all into context for us is James Mennie, reporter, columnist, editor at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, Trudy. How are you?
Well, enjoying this weather, 26 degrees, very little humidity, unlike tomorrow when we will be sweltering. So, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? What's kind of funny is that even though everyone's talking about the weather, I think one of the most under-discussed political stories in the country, and it's been going on for quite some time, is Doug Ford's slow but sure and quite rather elegant path towards the leadership of the federal Conservative Party and his target of eventually being Prime Minister of Canada. That clip we heard, and he does this he's been doing this for sure since this nonsense with Trump began. He says what people want to hear, which of course is the essence of being a populist politician. But in this particular instance, he really has an ear for tuning into what makes people angry. In this particular instance, Donald Trump, who is a demonstrable liar and a double-cross artist, but just basically sort of nonchalantly saying, I trust this guy as far as I can throw him. This is the stuff you want to hear from someone who's in charge in Canada. I know Mark Carney probably feels the same way, but he can't say that stuff out loud because he's the Prime Minister and he's got a deal one-on-one with Monsieur Trump. But I find it fascinating that the whole Captain Canada idea, the whole idea that he has managed, even though within Ontario, his detractors, his opposition are just stomping on him every day. They're saying he's the worst premier Ontario ever had. But the bottom line here is he knows what to say. He knows he performs well. And I hate to say it, but in 2025, performing well is about 70% of your job as a politician. And he's doing thus far, he's doing a great job.
I just wonder how many fans he made across the country when he first appeared in that Canada is not for sale cap. I thought that was genius as a PR move. Genius.
Well, but this is, whether it's him or his entourage, he knows what he's doing. And I have to tell you, in the beginning, I thought, well, maybe he's got a role to play as he's the guy who in the gang. If there was a gang of criminals, let's say, he's the crazy guy. They're going to say, don't tempt him, don't push the guy. He's crazy. He'll do it. And I remember that one of the first announcements he made was, let's shut down the electricity. So like the northeastern United States, we'll shut it down. And it was no BS, no walking on eggshells, very straightforward. Is it viable? Did he actually mean it? Probably not. But the thing is, that is what resonated. And you're quite right. The baseball cap, the perfect visual bites along with the sound bites, like we just heard, is the kind of thing that people remember, people like. And we cannot ignore the fact that right now, Pierre Poilievre, I know he remains leader of the Conservative Party, and it's very difficult to get a gauge on what the feeling is inside the Conservative Party, because Poilievre's grip on the party at the moment is the same as Trump's grip on the Republicans. Nobody dares publicly, break from singing from the same choir. But all that said, I really, really think a lot of people are perhaps looking at Doug Ford as a viable candidate to go up against Carney in the next election. And I'm sure among those people, first and foremost, is Doug Ford himself.
And he has, as much as his detractors want to quibble with his efficiency as premier, he has actually run something. You can't say that of Pierre Poilievre, who has not run a municipality, a province.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got flight time as a counselor and the family business. Now, was he completely hands on? I don't know about that, but the fact is he doesn't have that taint of being a career politician, which is one of the reasons, as far as I'm concerned, that Mark Carney got elected was that, quite apart from all the other differences with Poilievre, he was not this part of the machine. Yes, he's a bureaucrat. Yes, he's a banker. He knows how things work, but he wasn't a part of that more familiar kind of amorphous mass of political BS that we all have to put up with from various levels of government. So yeah, I think he's got a real shot at the job if things keep going the way they're going. And really, like I say, I don't know if anyone else is going to pick up on this. I don't know if any other politicians in other jurisdictions are going to say, listen, this guy seems to know what he's doing. Maybe I should sort of echo that kind of tone. But right now, he is saying exactly what people want to hear. And as I say, in politics, that's a big chunk of the job.
Well, speaking of Poilievre, the long ballot protest has targeted him as he seeks election in that riding out west. I'm getting you're not a big fan of this tactic either, to push electoral reform.
It's regular listeners, will probably fall down when they hear this. But in this particular instance, I completely agree with Pierre Poilievre. I think that, in fact, he's saying they should, when Parliament resumes in the fall, that they should adopt legislation to stop this from happening. Right now, and the backstory on this is there's this self-styled, long ballot committee, which claims to be protesting the fact that they got double-crossed by Justin Trudeau, who in 2015 said this is the last election we'll have with first past the post, and it's going to be prop rep or whatever, ranked ballot. Never happened. And to be fair, Francois Legault did exactly the same thing back in 2018. He actually signed an agreement saying, we're going to get rid of first past the post. But of course, they know the system works for them. Trudeau knew it. Legault knew it. And they didn't honor that agreement. So they want to, they want to protest it. But what they're doing is they're getting these completely ersatz candidates who are fulfilling the bare minimum. You got 100 names, and you can run as a candidate. When Poilievre ran in the general and he lost in his riding of Carleton, there were 91, I think, names on the ballot, and there's a great picture, a great file pic of the head of Elections Canada with what looks like a meter-long ballot. It's absolutely that's like more than 90. As I speak to you, there are at least 178 candidates who are going to be running in the Battle River Crowfoot riding in the August 18th by-election, where Poilievre is trying to get back into the House of Commons, which means basically that ballot will be twice as long. It's theater of the absurd, but above and beyond everything else, it's cynical theater of the absurd. A lot of genuine independent candidates are saying, who are running in that, are saying, we're getting lost because of all these people who are trying to prove a point who absolutely have zero interest in the riding or politics or whatever. This is a protest. And I really don't think that ballots, that ballot boxes, that the electoral process should be a theater for some kind of protest. By all means, launch protests. By all means, pressure candidates in the next election to see where they stand. And if you want to, inform the public about it, that's fine. But the idea of deliberately gumming up the works for what is basically a pretty decent, a pretty legit and straight up electoral process in this country, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely inexcusable. And one can only hope that Mark Carney is going to listen to Mr. Poilievre, no matter what happens during that by-election, but he's going to listen, and we don't have to talk about this again after this fall.
Always great to talk to you, James.
Demain.